Hello and welcome to Motorcycle News, and welcome to the series where we talk to members of the MCN team about the bikes that they actually buy with their hard-earned money. Now today in the hot seat is my good friend Justin, and we're here to talk about his lovely Triumph Sprint ST. So Justin, thank you very much for bringing out your lovely Triumph. Now, a semi-regular on the channel, I think it's fair to say already, you're currently product editor, but you're about to embark on a new adventure, aren't you? And you're going to be seen on this channel an awful lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be taking on the role of road tester.
It's very exciting.
Very shortly. I'm hugely excited about it. I really can't wait.
Wonderful stuff. So thanks for bringing this in. I think your life is about to get a whole lot busier. So I'm glad we've got this in before that happens. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, why don't you just let everyone know exactly what we're looking at here?
Right, what we're looking at here is a 2010 Triumph Sprint ST 1050, which is kind of a classic sports tourer, really.
Yep.
1050cc triple, puts out about 124 horsepower when it's new.
Exactly.
Not so sure this one would now.
Yeah.
It's somewhere like 77 foot-pound of torque, so it's quite a meaty motor.
Yeah.
This particular example, though, has got 67,500 miles on it. Pretty close to that, anyway.
Wow. And I must say, it doesn't look like it's, I knew that anyway.
Thank you. Yeah.
I can't believe it's got nearly 70,000 miles on the clock. It looks like a bike with half of that mileage on it. And this bike has been used for just about everything, hasn't it? So considering what you've done, it looks immaculate. So what have you used the bike for, and actually how long have you had it for as well?
Right, I bought it in 2018, and this essentially was my bread and butter for a couple of years. As a freelance journalist, this bike took me the length and breadth of the country, covering stories for MCN.
Yep.
Big part of that was cafes, so full English breakfast, the golden sausage as we called it back then. It was at events every weekend. I've ridden this dressed as Evel Knievel with the Cymru Knievels on their charity ride. I've ridden it from Lowestoft Nest to Land's End on the longest day of the year, from sunrise to sunset. It's been up to Scotland, it's done the North Coast 500, we've been to Dunnet Head, we've been to John O'Groats.
Yeah.
It's been everywhere in Wales, Scotland, England. It's been through London. It's boiled itself in the heat on the M25.
Yep.
It's been through the depths of winter riding down the M74 in Scotland with sideways snow and gale force winds causing me to be down at sort of 5 miles an hour and shadowing next to trucks just to get home. But this earned me my bread and butter, and for that I am very, very much attached to it.
You must have a very special place in your heart.
It has. I wouldn't be where I was today without this bike. This is hugely important to my story as much as anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a proper testament to Triumph engineering and sports touring, I suppose, because this is proof that the bikes can do it and doesn't just have to be on beautiful sunny days like today.
What you're looking at here essentially is the best winter hack that you're ever going to come across, because there's no point riding in the really worst of British weather on the worst bike. So I've kind of made a few clever modifications. I say clever modifications. It's had some modifications done to this to make this the best bike that I feel I can ride in winter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see a couple sort of creeping through. I can see like a little MCT sticker on the forks and stuff there. So why don't you give us a little greatest hits, if you like?
Okay, well,
starting at the front, what have you done to the bike?
Well, let's talk about that suspension first of all, because this bike is a vintage that the stock suspension was clapped out.
Okay.
So that was my main reason for looking at. I didn't think I'm going to put it on a track, so let's put top-notch suspension on.
Yeah, exactly.
It was clapped out, so I wanted to come up with the best solution that I could for the type of riding that I do. So I went down to see Darren at MCT, who I've since seen for all of my bikes. The guy's a bit of a suspension wizard.
Yeah.
And we rebuilt the forks so that they work a lot better. Essentially, when they were new, these things were undersprung and overdamped, which basically meant that the front had absolutely no feel at all. And the shock absorbers probably cost Triumph a tenner to make, if that.
Yeah.
So it weren't the best items to begin with. So it's had a modified suspension so that it works a lot better. It's just springs and cartridges, and it's got a Nitron rear shock, which, I mean, that kind of speaks for himself. If you know suspension, Nitron shocks are superb. So for the £1,000 that I spent on it in terms of suspension, it's repaid me with a bike that is a pleasure to ride. And also from the point of view of endurance, because I'd be covering big miles on this, and you want a comfortable bike and one that actually copes with our roads properly.
Of course,
just to prevent fatigue and everything else, and that's what this does.
And to that end as well, I can see Dunlop Mutant tyres, is it on it as well at the moment?
It's got the Mutant tyres on because I just thought they were going to be a great option in winter.
Yeah.
We've got winter yet to come.
Of course.
So at the moment they're virtually brand new, a couple of 100 miles on them. But I think these are going to be a really good winter tyre on this bike.
They look great. They look like a really old racing wet.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, they look really cool. So anything else to be aware of down at that front end at all? The disc's been changed?
Yeah, it's got EBC discs and sinter pads up the front. I mean, that's almost a standard upgrade with bikes when it comes to replacing your discs and pads.
Yeah.
They improve the braking to a certain extent. But I guess the kind of things that have been more done to this than anything else has been to keep it going.
Yes.
For example, there are certain areas, and any ST owners out there will know exactly what I'm talking about when we start talking about rear suspension linkage.
Right.
It's a hugely important service that these have to have done.
Okay.
So the story goes, and apologies to anyone at Triumph if I am wrong, but they weren't lubricated particularly well from new.
Okay.
So if they weren't pulled apart and re-greased and serviced properly, they seize up. It makes them impossible to pull apart again.
Yeah.
And it's a crucial part of how the bike functions.
Okay.
So that's something I do just about every year on it. Pull the rear suspension linkage apart, check the bearings, grease it all, make sure it's good. As it's a single-sided swing arm, it's not a really difficult job to do. That's one of the pleasures. And not just that, it really looks good too.
Yeah, it looks lovely. Really, really nice.
So things like your suspension linkage, pulling your calipers apart every year. But because I use it through winter, it's also susceptible to road salt. So I think I'm on my 3rd or 4th oil cooler because they just rot through with the salt.
So it's just getting nailed from the front wheel then,
is
that right?
It's on its 3rd radiator, I think. There's such thin metal, once the salt gets in, they just degrade really quickly. But for a few grand, it's actually a really, really good bike to buy for the money. It's a lot of fun to ride. We haven't really talked about the riding side of it or the actual experience of it, but pound for pound, you get a lot of bike for your money, and it's something that you can work on yourself because it's of that generation where ABS and fuel injection is kind of it.
Yes,
as far as electronics are concerned. But there are some brilliant guys out there, such as the Sprint ST Owners Group, some guys on Facebook, and they run clinics. And I've actually been down to one of these down on the south coast, where people come down who own one of these that may even not know much about the bike, and they'll basically get them to do the job, but talk them through it and lend them all the right tools and teach them about their bike for free.
Right, okay, wow.
You supply the bits, and the guys down there basically use their know-how to help you look after the bike.
Oh, terrific.
And it's a really good community.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's worth just going to see them for a bacon sandwich and a cup of tea, to be honest. But you get to learn about your bike and you get to learn how to do things on your bike. And I think that's really important.
So you've already touched on maintenance, and I dare say, because you've done about 50,000 miles on this, you've probably done some maintenance over that time. So you know, what's it actually like to work on this bike? Obviously fully faired, so I always find that a bit of a pain working on bikes with fairings. But you know, once you've got everything off, what's it like underneath?
It's actually a really nice bike to work on.
Okay.
I've done everything from changing the oil to valve clearances, as I've already said about suspension and so on. Tearing down the cooling systems, all that kind of thing. Everything's really accessible once you start getting the fairings off and getting into it.
Yeah.
It's almost like they actually had the technician in mind who was going to look after this bike. Yeah, some of it is fiddly. Getting cam covers off and on is a bit of a trick. But I've worked on a lot of different bikes, and these are actually pretty much a pleasure to work on. Yes, you can make mistakes. But get a Haynes manual. And like I say, the guys on the forums down at the ST clinic that look after these bikes, it's invaluable. If you go on the little Facebook groups, you'll just see somebody will just ask a question. They'll tell them everything they can do wrong before telling them how to do it right. And that's really nice. It's a nice, easy bike to learn bike maintenance with.
Right, okay, I see. Is there anything that potential buyers or current owners, I suppose, should be aware of? Anything that you've learned over time? Oh, right, that particular job requires a certain amount of patience.
Any job requires patience when you're working on a bike. No, that's fair to say. But if you can glean from the owner some of the maintenance that's been done before, when they start talking about things like valve clearances and suspension linkage, then you've got a good idea that the person may well have looked after that bike.
It looks fast, it looks purposeful, it sounded lovely. What's it like to ride when you're in that position behind the screen? Okay,
well, I mean, we've said it's a sports tourer, and I would say it's towards the sportier end of sports touring.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a Hayabusa or anything like that, but the motor is fantastic in these, and there's a reason they were using those in speed triples.
Yeah.
I mentioned the torque earlier on, 77 foot-pound of torque, and that comes in right in the middle of the rev range.
Okay.
Around 5,000 RPM.
Yeah.
So if you keep it fizzing about 4.5, 5,000, you're always on the power.
Nice.
And the nice thing about that is you're not wringing its neck, but when you do wind it on, as you've said, the organ pipes at the back there make a fantastic noise. It's a raspy, grunty howl.
Yeah, go on then, why not fire it up? Let us hear it.
Okie doke. Here we go. You can get the burble in there as well.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've had to do to this, it's no longer got a catalytic converter because they rot. So it's been replaced with a straight pipe. And as a result, when you come off the throttle, when you're coming into bends and things, it burbles and pops and misfires like some kind of production race bike.
Although it's got a straight through, it's not loud because of the standard.
No, it's got the standard silencer on it, so it doesn't make a lot of noise. People do tune that out of them. You can use Tune ECU, which is a program that you can use to actually get into your bike's ECU. But
where's the fun in that?
I've left it as is because it sounds raw, it sounds a bit rude. It's not going to upset anybody.
No, no, no.
But you have a lot of fun doing it. And with the suspension set up as it is, which again is towards the sportier end of touring, that's kind of where I've tried to make this bike so it is fun. It's a big old thing to heave around. I think we're about 220 kilos, probably somewhere around there. So it's a fair sized bike. But it's really rewarding. It's one of those things where you put the effort in, a little bit of elbow, a little bit of shoulder to get through the turns, and it is really enjoyable.
You've made this a bit more aggressive with different bars as well, haven't you?
That's one of the beauty of some of the Triumph parts. The bars on this are from a 955 RS, which I don't know if you remember was like a half-faired sprint, late 90s kind of thing. They all use the same size forks and they all use the same top yoke. So in essence, there are 3 or 4 different bar heights as you look through the sprint family, so you can fine-tune it to your preference. I like the low ones because if I'm doing long distance, it means your forearms are parallel to the ground. So for beating fatigue, the blood flow, your heart's not working too hard to pump the blood up and down your arms, you just sit level. You don't end up with any of that white finger, those dead fingers that can just be really uncomfortable. And with the stock screen on it, the airflow just hits the top of your helmet. The helmet works as it should to take the airflow away, and it's designed for long distance pleasure.
I already said it, but it's a credit to you, and it looks sublime, it sounds good. It's a workhorse with character, with purpose. It's a nice antidote, I suppose, to your adventure bikes, and it almost makes you wonder why Triumph don't make something like this anymore.
That element of the sports tourer market is gone. Nobody makes a sporty tourer.
No.
They will outperform this. Everything on the market just about in that kind of area, your tall rounders and things will outperform this, no question at all. But it's a proper analog experience riding one of these.
Absolutely.
And that's what you don't necessarily get with a new bike.
No, of course, of course. So final question then. What's the plans for the future then? I'm guessing this is going to stay put in the garage.
Yeah, I mean, this is here for me to use. I'm lucky enough that I don't need to use it during the summer, the better months. However, when it comes to winter and manufacturers take their press bikes back under lock and key, this will be coming back out again, and next stop 100,000 miles basically.
Love it, I love it. Well, thank you so much for bringing it in and dusting it off and letting us all enjoy it today. I've really enjoyed this, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. If you have, please do remember to give us a like and a subscribe. We really appreciate it. And why not drop a comment below? If you've got one of these, tell Justin what else he needs to look out for and what he should do to get to that 100,000 miles. So I will see you all very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching.